I'm gonna read John chapter 5. I'm gonna start at John chapter 5. I'm gonna give it a few minutes. How's it going? Thank you very much for being on. All right. Do some reading God's word in the morning. John chapter 5. A man healed at the pool of Bethesda. All right. Man healed at the pool of Bethesda. So it's gonna be a guy who's at this pool, right? He's been there for years. He has a sickness. So I'm just gonna get started here. John chapter 5. After this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now, there in Jerusalem, by the sheep gate, a pool which is called in Hebrew Bethesda, having five porches. In these lay a great multitude of sick people, blind, lame, paralyzed, waiting for the moving of water. So this is like a miracle pool. How you doing, Leo? How's it going? Good morning, man. Just decided to read this morning. All right. So there's a pool, and these people are waiting for miracles. All right. For an angel. So this is what they said. All right. For an angel went down at a certain time into the pool and stirred up the water. Then whoever stepped in it first, after the stirring of water, was made well of water. Disease he had. He was what made well whatever disease he had. So it's like, hey, when the pool starts, go and touch the water and you be healed. That was the myth, right? Of course, that wasn't really true. So there's this guy, he's been waiting there for a long time, trying to get his hold on that water on the pool. So when the water comes up, it's actually a yeah, it's actually very interesting. Now here goes. Now a certain man was there who had an infirmity 38 years. So this guy needs healing for 38 years. He needs healing. So he's been sitting there next to the pool for 38 years, trying to be the first to touch it so he can be healed. So Jesus is actually going to go over there. And so here we go. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he already had been in that condition long time, he said to him, "Do you want to be made well?" So I was like, hey, forget the water, forget that. Jesus is here. He's like, hey, do you want to be made well? The sick man answered him, "Sir, I have no man to put me in the pool when the water is stirred up. While I am coming, another steps down before me." They're like, "Duh, yeah, I wanna be made well, but I just can't get up and get in the water." So Jesus said to him, "Rise, take up your bed and walk." And immediately the man was made well, took up his bed and walked, and that day was the Sabbath. So he just told him, "Hey, you can just get up." Jesus healed him. All right. So you don't have to wait for the water. Jesus just healed him. And he took his bed and walked. And this was on the Sabbath day. All right. So apparently on the Sabbath you can't do miracles. So this is what happens. He answered to them and made, let me see, he said, "The Jews therefore said to him, 'Who has cured? It is the Sabbath. It is not lawful for you to carry your bed.' He answered them, 'Who made me well said to me, Take up your bed and walk.' Then they asked him, 'Who is the man who said to you, Take up your bed and walk?' But the one man, but the one who was healed did not know who it was, for Jesus had withdrawn, a multitude being in that place. Afterward, Jesus found him in the temple and said to him, 'See, you have been made well. Sin no more, lest a worse thing come upon you.' So Jesus healed him and said, 'Hey, don't sin no more.'" This is huge, man. This is actually very interesting. So this guy had been waiting for 30 years and Jesus just heals him. All right. So Jesus did a lot of healings. All right. The man departed and told the Jews that it was Jesus who had made him well. So Jesus, he's building his reputation pretty much. Like, all right, he's stirring up people. Like people are hearing about him. All right. Let me see. I'm not sure if I've read already I'm trying to find out exactly where. So he hasn't done his triumphant entry. So he's still like people are hearing about him. Like, hey, Jesus is healing. He's walking around. All right. So here we go. Because he had done these things on the Sabbath. But Jesus answered them, "My Father has been working until now. I have been working." Therefore, the Jews sought all the more to kill him because he had not only broken the Sabbath, but also that God was his Father, making himself equal to God. All right. So they're like, "Hey, you can't be healing on the Sabbath." It's like, what difference does it? He said, "Hey, my Father has been working until now. I have been working." Also, he claimed, "Hey, like, yeah, I'm the Son of God." And, this is, they're saying that this is blasphemous. All right. Then Jesus answered and said to them, most assuredly I say to you, the Son can do nothing of himself, but what he sees the Father do. For whatever he does, the Son also does in like manner. So he's like, hey, I wouldn't be able to do this if I wasn't the Son of God. Which is true. All right. He said, hey, I've seen the Father do miracles, therefore I can do miracles. So, it's like a father son relationship. All right. That is huge. That is huge. And so he gets crucified for being blasphemous, for claiming to be the Son of God, for claiming to be equal to God. And they're like, hey, that's blasphemous. But he's like, hey, I'm showing you the signs. I'm showing you that I am the Son of God. I'm not just telling you, I am showing you. And if there's a reason why he is not the Son of God, like prove it, and they can't prove it. All right. He's like, hey, I'm over here doing miracles. I'm doing this because I've seen my father do them. I am the Son. All right. I can do them as well. So that's what's going on here. So he said, for the Father loves the Son and shows him all things. The Son that shows him all things that he himself does, and he will show him greater works than these, that you may marvel. Like, I learned these signs from my Father. These miracles. Not only that, he says he will show him greater works than these, that you may marvel. So that I'm only getting started. This is huge, man. This is huge. So he's just getting started. He just healed this guy from not being able to walk, all the way to rising Lazarus to the from being dead. It's like he's only getting started here. Actually, before that, it was the wine. All right, water into wine. All right, so here we go. For as the Father raises the dead and gives life to them, even to the Son gives life to whom He will. So just like I said, hey, Jesus, is like, hey, I'm gonna be able to give life to whoever I will. So yeah, for the Father judges no one, but has committed all judgment to the Son, that all should honor the Son just as they honor the Father. He does not honor the Son, does not honor the Father who sent him. So you can't say, I only believe in God, but not Jesus. Right? That's Judaism. Like, hey, we don't believe in Jesus. We only believe in God. No, it says here that you shall honor the Son just as they honor the Father. He who does not honor the Son does not honor the Father who sent him. You have to go through Jesus. You have to go through Jesus. You can't believe just in God and not go through Jesus. Most assuredly, I say to you, he who hears my word and believes in him who sent me was everlasting life, and shall not come into judgment, but has passed from death into life. Most assuredly, I say to you, the hour is coming, and now is, when the dead will hear the voice of the Son of God, and those who hear will live. For as the Father has life in himself, so he has granted the Son to have life in himself. Right? And has given him authority to execute judgment, also because he is the Son of Man, executing judgment. Do not marvel at this, for the hour is coming in which all who are in the graves will hear his voice, and comfort those who have done good to the resurrection of life, and those who have done evil to the resurrection of condemnation. I can of myself do nothing as I hear. I judge, and my judgment is righteous, because I do not seek my own, but the will of my Father who sent me. So Jesus judges by the will of the Father, by righteousness, the one and only righteousness. All right. If I bear witness of myself, my witness is not true. There is another who bears witness of me, and I know that the witness which he witnessed of me is true. You have sent to John, and his borne witness to the truth. Yet I do not receive testimony from man, but I say these things that you may be saved. Jesus, like, hey, I'm trying to help you get saved here. He was the burning and shining lamp, and you were willing for a time to rejoice in his light. But I have greater witness than John, for the works which the Father has given me to finish, the very works that I do, bear witness of me that the Father has sent me. And the Father himself who sent me has testified of me. You have neither heard his voice at any time nor seen his form. All right. But you do not have his word abiding in you, because whom you sent him you do not believe. You search the scriptures For in them you think you have eternal life, and these are which testify of me. But you are not willing to come to me that you may have life. Come to Jesus. All right. All right. Come to Jesus so you may have life. That's all he's saying here. I do not receive honor from men. Jesus is not here to receive, but I know you that you do not have the love of God in you. Jesus is saying, hey, you do not have the love of God in you. I have to come in my Father's name, and you do not receive me. If another comes in his own name, him you will receive. So if somebody says, hey, I come, Jesus is coming on his Father's name, all right, and he is not being received. But he's like, hey, if anybody else comes and nobody's name at that, you will receive him. How can you believe who receive honor from one another and do not seek the honor that comes from the only God? Seek, seek. Let me see here. Can you believe who receive the honor from one another and do not seek the honor of God, not from people? All right, don't seek the honor from people. Receive the honor from God. So really, who you trying to impress? You're trying to impress God. Like, hey, you're trying to have honor in God. All right. Do you think that I shall accuse you to the Father? There is one who accuses you, Moses, in whom you trust. For if you believe Moses, you would believe me, for he wrote about me. If you believe in Moses, everything he wrote, you would believe in me. But if you do not believe his writings, how will you believe my words? It's like, hey, they go hand in hand. All right, they go hand in hand. If you believe in Moses, everything he wrote, you would believe in Jesus. But in this case, they're like, they put Moses ahead of Jesus. Like, no, Moses talked directly to God. And Jesus is saying, hey, I know God. I've seen God's works. Like, and but they, like I said, he ends up getting crucified for blasphemy. So man, that was yeah, that's John chapter 5. There's just so much, man. I really enjoy reading the red lettering. If you have a Bible, just the red lettering. Like that's Jesus talking. I guess we could start chapter 6. How's it going? Where you coming from? How's it going? Thank you very much for being on. I think it's 8:45 here in Texas. All right. Feeding the 5,000. So Jesus is actually gonna feed 5,000 people. All right. How does he do it? Hey, blesses the food, multiplies the food. Like I said, he's doing miracles. Like the word is going out. All right. He's doing miracles. He's healing. He turned that water into let me just go back a little bit. He turned water into wine. All right. He did healing. He talked to the Samaritan woman. She spreads the word. She's like, hey, the Messiah's like roaming around. All right. What we just read, the nobleman, the noble's son healed. See, when he heard Jesus did. All right. So Jesus is going around just healing. And then here he's going to feed the 5,000. So 5,000 people. So the 5,000 people are going to witness what Jesus does. Like, he fed the 5,000. After these things, Jesus went over the Sea of Galilee, which the Sea of Tiberias. Then a great multitude followed him because they saw his signs, which he performed on those who were diseased. So people went to go see him. Hey, we've been hearing that he's been performing signs and and healings. So they want to go see him. And Jesus went up on a mountain, and there he sat with his disciples. Now the Passover, a feast of the Jews, was near. Then Jesus lifted up his eyes, seeing a great multitude coming towards him. He said to Philip, where shall we buy bread and these may eat? So like, hey, how are we going to feed everybody? But this he said to test him, for he himself knew that he would do. Philip answered him, 200 denarii worth of bread is not sufficient for them, that every one of them may have a little. Like, dang, not even 200. Let's say like 200 denarii. I'm not sure what the equivalent is, but let's say like $200 wouldn't even feed everybody. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said to him, there is a lad who has 5 barley loaves and 2 small fish, but what are they among so many? So, like, all right, we're going to feed 5,000 people with 5 barley loaves and 2 small fishes. All right. You know what? I could work with that. Then Jesus said, make the people sit down. Now there was much grass in the place, so the men sat down and number about 5,000. And Jesus took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed them to the disciples, and the disciples to those sitting down. and likewise of the fish, as much as they wanted. So when they were filled, he said to the disciples, gather up the fragments that remain so that nothing is lost. So he multiplies this 5 pieces of bread and 2 fishes. He multiplies it to feed 5,000 people. So once again, we have 5,000 witnesses. Plus, there's just so many witnesses. All right. That's why it's really hard not to believe in Jesus, because there's so many witnesses and this has been passed on throughout time. All right. What are we doing today? We're waiting for Jesus to come back. That's what he said. The Last Supper, I will be back. All right. So believe in Jesus. All right. Jesus is the way. All right. Therefore, they therefore they gathered them up and filled 12 baskets with the fragments of 5 barley loaves. All right, so they took all the leftovers. Then those men, when they had seen the sign that Jesus did, said, "This is truly the prophet who is to come into the world." So like, hey, this is the prophet. All right, he just fed 5,000 people, so he has all these witnesses now. This is huge, man. This is very huge. All right, this is very huge. I don't know how long this water's been here. So Jesus just fed 5,000 people. So we have 5,000 more witnesses of Jesus, and it's only going to go up and up. All right. Whether they liked him or not, like there was witnesses of Jesus Christ. He just people witness his healings. They witness him feeding 5,000 people. All right. Now we're going to the next chapter 6, verse 15 of the book of John. Jesus walks on water. All right. So Jesus is gonna walk on water here. So after all this, he's fed everybody. They're gonna travel. Therefore, when Jesus perceived that they were about to come and take him by force to make him king, he departed again to the mountain of himself alone. So they're praising God, but they're praising Jesus, but kind of for the wrong reasons. All right. They're saying, oh, this is truly the prophet who came to the world. Once again, they're saying, hey, Jesus is a prophet, but Jesus is a Messiah. Jesus is the prophet, the Messiah. All right. He's not just a prophet. So a lot of people try to say that, like, oh, Jesus, yeah, Jesus, he was just a prophet. He did good deeds and this and that. Like, no, he was the Messiah. He came for salvation. He came to help, to make the way for our salvation. Therefore, when Jesus perceived that they were about to come and take him by force to make him king, he departed again to the mountain by himself alone. So Jesus, like, he just left, like, hey, I'm not the, I'm not here to stay, you know. Now, when evening came, his disciples went down to the sea, got into the boat, and went over the sea towards Capernaum, and it was already dark, and Jesus had not come to them. Then the sea arose because a great wind was blowing. So when they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles, they saw Jesus walking on the sea and drawing near the boat, and they were afraid. So they left. All right, they're like, all right, I guess the wind was blowing, everything, and they were heading out. And all of us, they did not take Jesus with them. But then all of a sudden, they see Jesus. Like, what? But he said to them, "It is I. Do not be afraid." Jesus walking on water. All right, Jesus walking towards them. They're on the boat. Jesus walking towards them while he's walking on water. Then they willingly received him into the boat, and immediately the boat was at the land where they were going. So it just like all of a sudden on the following day. So that was yeah, that's a quick way to put. So Jesus walked on water. All right, he said, "Do not be afraid." All right, here we go. On the following day, when people who were standing on the other side of the sea saw that there was no other boat there except the one which his disciples had entered, and that Jesus had not entered the boat with his disciples, but his disciples had gone away alone. So like, hey, the disciples left yesterday without Jesus. There's not a second boat here. How did Jesus get here? So they're kind of doing the math, like, wait, we saw y'all leave. Like we saw y'all leave, and Jesus was not on the boat. How did Jesus get here? Hey, Jesus walked on. Jesus met them in the middle of the sea. That's huge. So people are doing the math here. All right, the boat except the one which his disciples had entered, and that Jesus had not entered the boat with his disciples, but his disciples had gone away alone. However, other boats came from Tiberias near the place where they had ate bread after the Lord had given thanks. When the people therefore saw that Jesus was not there, nor his disciples, they also got into the boats and came to Capernaum seeking Jesus. And when they found him on the other side of the sea, they said to him, Rabbi, when did you come here? How did you get here? Rabbi, how did you get here? Let me see here. I'm trying to learn how to use some of these trying to learn how to use some of these little, I guess, widgets from YouTube. I don't know. Let's see what happens. All right. I don't know. All right. So just now let me see here. Eh. All right. So they're trying like Jesus, like, how did you get here? Like who gave Jesus a ride? That's pretty much what I'm saying. Like, how did he get here? They're doing the math. And when they found him on the other side of the sea, they said to the rabbi, when did you come here? Jesus answered them and said, most assuredly I say to you, you seek me not because you saw the signs, but because you ate of the loaves and were filled. Do not labor for the food which perishes, but for the food which endures to everlasting, which the Son of Man will give you, because God the Father has set his seal on him. All right. So they're like, hey, don't just come to eat. All right. Come to eat the spiritual food that will last forever. All right. Hey, you eat physical food, you're gonna be hungry again. But you eat the spiritual food, it lasts forever. Hey, knowing God's word lasts forever. Reading God's word it literally lasts forever. Like this word here, this will last forever. Right? God's words will not change. That is a huge verse. That is huge. That is huge. Man. I'll read it again. But do not labor for the food which perishes. All right. So we eat food. Don't labor for that. But for the food which endures to everlasting life. All right. God's words will last forever, eternal. These words are eternal. All right. These words here in the Bible are eternal. They will never die. Never. That is huge. All right. Which the Son of Man will give you. Jesus said, which I will give you. We have Jesus talking here because God the Father has set his seal on him. Then they said to him, what shall we do that we may work the works of God? Jesus answered and said to them, this is the work of God, that you believe in him who he sent. So our only job is to believe uh him who he sent. This is the work of God, that you believe in him who he sent. Believe in who God sent. Who did God send? His son Jesus Christ. That is our work. That is our main job to do, is believe in him who he sent. And I know a lot of people still struggle to believe in Jesus. Man, I've sat with a lot of random people and I've heard questions, and I was just trying to get their train of thought. You know, it was actually hard to hear, hard to listen, because I was like, "What? Where'd you get this information?" And I realized like a lot of people are googling stuff and kind of going with whatever the internet says. He was a prophet. He might have been this, he might have not. But at the end of the day, is who do you believe that he is? All right, and Jesus here is saying over and over and over again, "Hey, he God sent him. The Father sent him." I'm also watching my little daughter. Mom, you want some water? Drink some water real quick. I believe in him who sent him. Believe in Jesus Christ. If you believe in God, believe in he who sent him. Let me say here. Do not labor for the food which perishes, but for the food which endures to everlasting life, which the Son of Man will give you, because God the Father has set his seal on him. All right. Then they said to him, what shall we do that we may work the works of God? Like, I want to work for God. Like, what do I do? I'm willing to do everything for God. Like, what am I to do? And Jesus answered and said to them, this is the work of God, that you believe in him who he sent. It's really that simple. It's literally that simple. Out of all this, out of all this, it's really that simple. All right. Therefore, they said to him, "What sign will you perform then, that we may see it and believe you? What work will you do?" So it's like, all right, okay, like I want to believe in you. I want to believe in you, Jesus. What sign will you do in order for us to believe you after he's already done all these signs? It's like, hey, it's really frustrating sometimes. So it's like, all right, what signs are you gonna do so we can believe in you? That's hard. That's like cringe. All right, I'm like, what? All right, here we go. Therefore, they said to him, "What sign will you perform to them that we may see it and believe you? What work will you do? Our father ate the manna in the desert, and it is written, He gave them bread from heaven to eat." All right, so like, yeah, remember the manna? That's book of was it book of Exodus or book of Numbers, where the manna comes from the heaven. Then Jesus said to them, "Moses, surely I say to you, Moses did not give you the bread from heaven, but my Father gives you the true bread from heaven. My Father is giving you the true bread. For the bread of God is he who comes down from heaven and gives life, excuse me, gives life to the world." Hey, yeah, God gave you bread from heaven in the book of Exodus or Numbers, but now guess what? There's another bread that's coming from heaven and he's standing in front of you. Like, hey, this is like a lot more valuable, right? For the bread of God is he who comes down from heaven and gives life to the world. Man, that is huge. There's so much here. I think first time I read through the book of John, I kind of read it too fast. I think I always read it too fast, but I'm trying to slow it down because there is just so much. That alone, that alone, these verses here alone are huge. Man. Then he said to him, "Lord, give us this bread always." Okay, I want the bread. I want the bread that came from heaven. The bread's literally standing in front of you. Yeah, give us that bread. Then Jesus said to him, Lord, then they said to him, "Lord, give us the bread always." And Jesus said to them, "I am the bread of life." All right, it's kind of like being a little slow here to understand. Like, okay, I'm having a hard time understanding. He's like, hey, the bread, God has sent the bread. And like, okay, I want that bread, the new bread, the one that Jesus sent. And Jesus is like, hey, I am the bread. Like you're looking at the bread. I am the bread of life. He who comes to me shall never hunger, and he who believes in me shall never thirst. But I said to you that you have seen me, and yet you do not believe. I'm telling you, I am the bread of life. I was sent from God, and you still don't believe. That's what Jesus is saying here. Jesus is saying that, like, you still don't believe. But I said to you, and you have seen, and yet you do not believe. All that the Father gives me will come to me, and the one who comes to me, I will by no means cast out. Come to Jesus, and I will not cast you out. That's what he's saying. Come to me. Jesus is saying, come to me. For I have come down from heaven not to do my own will, but the will of him who sent me. So he's pretty much fulfilling all these prophecies. This is the will of the Father who sent me, that of all he has given me, I should lose nothing, but should raise it up at the last day. Jesus is going to raise up the dead. And this is the will of him who sent me, that everyone who sees the Son and believes in him may have everlasting life, and I will raise him up the last day. Oh man, there's so many. I mean, it's the same thing over and over. But it's like he's breaking it down. He's breaking it down. It's like, hey, okay, I want that. Like he's breaking it down in so many ways. But the message here is Jesus is the way. That is the message, and he's saying it multiple times. And his own disciples keep like, okay, they're like slow to learn. They're trying to like figure it out. Okay, he's talking about bread, everlasting. I want everlasting bread. I want the everlasting bread. Jesus is like, I am the everlasting bread. And then he says, everything he's gonna do. This is the will of the Father who sent me, that all of is given me. I should lose nothing, but should raise it up at the last day. Jesus is gonna raise up the dead. The last day, resurrect the rapture, resurrection. And this is the will of him who sent me, that everyone who sees the Son and believes in him may have everlasting life. And I will raise him up on the last day. Believe in Jesus. At the end of the day, believe in Jesus. I mean, there's just so many ways I mean, it's said so many times. All right. The Jews then complained about him because he said, I am the bread which came down from heaven. And they said, is not this Jesus the son of Joseph, whose father and mother we know? How is it that he says, I have come down from heaven? So these are the rebuttals. So it's like, they're trying to rebuttal, they're trying to debunk everything he just said. So, that's just how the world is. It's like, hey, some people believe in Jesus, some people don't. But Jesus here is giving out everything you need to know. And he's showing signs. He's doing all his signs. He's fulfilling prophecies. All right. He's going to be crucified. He's doing the will of God, the Father. He's doing everything so that we may believe. And yet it's like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Like there's always going to be skeptical. People are always skeptical. I was one of them. I was very skeptical. But after reading God's word and seeing that he backed everything up, Jesus backed everything up. All right. Here's go. I am the bread which came down from heaven. And they said, is this not Jesus, the son of, like, hey, wait a minute. We grew up with this guy. We grew up with, isn't his dad Joseph? Remember the book of, the beginning of the Gospels, book of Luke has a very good, the Christmas story people like to put out. Um, Let me see here. It said, isn't this Jesus, the son of Joseph, the carpenter, whose father and mother we know, Mary? How is it that he says, I have come down from heaven? Like, wait a minute, we saw Jesus born. Jesus therefore answered and said to them, do not murmur among yourself. Like, hey, I can hear you. I can hear your hearts. No one can come to me unless the Father who sent me draws him, and I will raise him up at the last day. It is written in the prophets. All right, so I'm gonna take a quick break. All right, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna take about a 5 minute break. I'll be right back. All right, I'm gonna go watch my daughter real quick. I'm gonna go see what she needs. I will be back in 5 minutes. I am right here in the book of John, chapter 6, verse. I'll go back to verse 41. All right, the rebuttals. All right, I'll be right back in like 5 minutes. Thank you very much. God bless you. All right, be right back. Hello, hello. All right. I'm back. Dang, that's jeez. All right. How's it going? How's it going? All right. Sorry, I took a 5 minute break. All right, let's go. All right. The Jews didn't complain. I am the bread. Okay, so here we go. And they said, is not this Jesus the son of Joseph, whose father and mother we know? How is it that he says, I have come down from heaven? All right. Let me see here. I'm going to start over. Thank you very much.